The 70s were the decade when cinema changed forever, and when, without exaggeration, some of the greatest films in history were born. A time when the big studios lost control, and directors took over, making bolder, more rebellious, more personal films. The world was going through wars, crises, distrust, and cinema absorbed it all. Violence, sex, politics, madness, beauty. Images that still pulse 50 years later. Today on Cine Prime.
Beard, madam.
Oh, Luke, I haven't got time to go to no stonings. He's not well again.
For many, the greatest comedy ever made. In an era of religious fanaticism and moral repression, the Monty Python crew dropped a bomb disguised as a comedy. Life of Brian is much more than a biblical parody. It's a sharp critique of dogma, mob mentality, and collective stupidity. The humor is as absurd as it is brilliant, and each scene has aged with brutal clarity. The surreal moment where a man suddenly wants to become a woman is as ridiculous as it is prophetic.
I want to be a woman. It's every man's right to have babies if he wants them.
But you can't have babies!
Don't you oppress me.
Anticipating the woke era by 40 years. From the musical crucifixion to the misinterpreted sermons, everything in this film breathes irreverence and creative freedom. And though it was censored in half the world, today it stands tall as one of the smartest comedies in cinema history. Because sometimes, to expose the most serious things, you have to whistle with a smile on the cross.
It's been a mistake. Give me my money back.
No, I'm sorry. I tell you, there's been a mistake. Give me my money back.
All right, everybody, FBI. Don't anybody...
Everyone loves a revenge story, but few are as elegant, hypnotic, and flawlessly told as The Sting. While New Hollywood explored violence and despair, this film went the opposite way. It played with wit, style, and charisma. Redford and Newman radiate a charm that no longer exists, and every scene is a con within another con. A game of appearances where no one is who they seem, and the viewer is always one step behind. The ragtime soundtrack is just the cheerful mask of a world rotten with lies. The editing is surgical, the pacing perfect, and the script simply flawless. Even its light tone is a disguise. The Sting might look like a period comedy, but it's a thriller dressed in smiles. And just when you think you've figured it all out, it cons you one last time. With one of the greatest plot twists in cinema history. The film that made the world afraid of the ocean and of sharks. Before Jaws, horror was psychological. After Jaws, it was primal, physical, pure instinct. Spielberg, at just 27, turned a chaotic shoot into a suspense masterpiece. The mechanical shark kept breaking down. But that technical failure became genius. The monster became invisible, and therefore far more terrifying. The tension builds slowly. Each note of John Williams pierces like a needle, and the viewer gets trapped without even realizing. But beyond the fear, Jaws created something new. The blockbuster. It changed the industry. It changed how movies were released, marketed, and watched. And it proved that a commercial film could also be a total cinematic experience. Since its release, no one has gone back in the water without looking down. Because fear, suddenly, was real. Some films aren't watched, they're endured. Cries and Whispers is one of them. Bergman traps us in a suffocating house where physical pain and existential suffering merge into one open wound. Red floods every frame, as if the film itself were bleeding from within. Three sisters, a rotting past, and a woman agonizing in front of the emotional indifference of those around her. The camera moves like a ghost, capturing gestures, tremors, silences. Every shot is a muffled scream. And amid the horror, the most unbearable thing appears. The truth. The one hidden in family, in memory, in guilt. There is no salvation, no comfort, only flesh, death, and silence. Bergman doesn't film a story, he films the soul, and what he shows is unforgettable. In his first film, Terrence Malick did something no one expected. He filmed crime like a dream. Badlands is not just the story of a couple who kill and flee. It's a strangely beautiful fable about the banality of evil. The violence is there, but it never shouts. It just drifts. Sissy Spacek's voiceover gives everything an innocent, almost childish tone that makes the calmness of the murders even more disturbing. Martin Sheen moves like James Dean, but with a gun. The landscape becomes a refuge, the killings a routine, and death a kind of distant music. Badlands isn't a thriller. It's a dark poem about youth, emptiness, and senselessness. And in that lyrical coldness lies all its power. A neurotic man, a relationship doomed to fail, and a city full of missed connections. Annie Hall redefined romantic comedy. Woody Allen broke the fourth wall, mixed timelines, added animation, and turned a love story into a puzzle of memory, longing, and fear of commitment. But beyond the formal tricks, what makes it great is its sincerity. It's funny, sharp, but also heartbreakingly honest. Diane Keaton became a symbol of a generation with just a hat, a vest, and a confused smile. And Allen, behind his irony, showed what many hide, that love can be real, even if it doesn't last. Annie Hall is about a failed love, yes, but also about how even the loves that fail shape who we are.
Freeze! Nobody move! Get over there!
A man walks into a bank to rob it, and everything goes wrong. What should have been a 5-minute job turns into a national spectacle. Police, television, hostages, chaos. And at the center of it all, a thief who just wants to save the person he loves. But the more he tries to fix things, the deeper he sinks. Based on true events, Dog Day Afternoon is more than a thriller. It's an emotional bomb disguised as a heist. Sidney Lumet turns New York's summer heat into a social pressure cooker, and Al Pacino gives one of the rawest performances of his career. Shaky, desperate, human. The tension doesn't come from guns, but from the psychological collapse of a man on the edge. It's political cinema, yes, but also profoundly intimate. A scream from the margins of society. Because when you've got nothing left, even a robbery can feel like an act of love. A Russian explorer ventures deep into the Siberian taiga, and there he meets Deru, an old man who lives in harmony with nature. He saves him from the cold, guides him through the forest, and without meaning to, teaches him to see the world differently. What begins as a geographic expedition becomes a spiritual journey. In Deru Uzala, Kurosawa leaves behind Japan and black and white to embrace color, open landscapes, and silence. But the essentials remain: honor, dignity, death. This isn't an adventure film. It's an elegy about friendship, time, and the clash between civilization and nature. Deru isn't just a guide. He's a way of being that no longer fits. And in that silent conflict, the film finds its pain. Kurosawa films nature like a cathedral, and man, like a whisper inside it. A factory worker escapes with his lover to the countryside, searching for a better life. But in the golden wheat fields, desire, silence, and lies grow like an invisible plague. The story is minimal, but the atmosphere is everything. Days of Heaven isn't told, it's contemplated. Every shot looks painted with natural light. The wheat, the wind, the sunsets, all carry a perfect calm that hurts. Malick doesn't film scenes, he films moments, glances, gestures, doubts left unspoken. And above it all, the voiceover of a child who doesn't understand what's happening, but feels it. There's love, betrayal, beauty, and behind it all, the sense that something pure is about to break. Few films have been this beautiful and this sad. A visual poem about longing, loss, and the silence of God. Three friends work in a factory, hunt deer on weekends, and prepare to go to war. Everything seems normal. Until hell arrives. And when they come back home, nothing is the same. The Deer Hunter is about Vietnam, yes. But it's not a war movie. It's a film about what war leaves behind. Michael Cimino divides it into 3 acts: friendship before, horror during, and emptiness after, each more devastating than the last. Robert De Niro is extraordinary, but it's Christopher Walken who breaks your soul with one of the saddest performances in film history. And that Russian roulette scene is still unbearable. The Deer Hunter offers no answers, only wounds. Open wounds that never heal. It's slow cinema, painful, human. A portrait of lost innocence, and of how little remains when someone returns from war, if they return at all.
What is it?
the most legendary horror movie of all time. A 12-year-old girl begins to rot alive in her own home. No doctor can explain it. No science can stop it. Something is devouring her from the inside. And only the devil seems to have the answers. The Exorcist isn't just horror, it's a filmed curse. Friedkin turns the invisible into flesh, evil into something tangible, violent, disgustingly real. Everything hurts. The screams, the vomit, the silences. But the most terrifying part isn't the demon. It's that there seems to be no way to get rid of it. This movie doesn't try to scare you. It crushes your soul. It confronts you with your worst fears when the lights go out. And it does so with surgical direction, demonic sound design, and emotional violence that remains intact 50 years later. A commercial spaceship receives a mysterious signal from a distant planet. They go down to investigate. They make a mistake. And what they bring back isn't life. It's death wrapped in silence. Alien is the perfect fusion of science fiction and horror. But it's also much more. It's biomechanical design, sexual tension, space paranoia. Ridley Scott films fear as a physical state, as something breathing behind the wall. The xenomorph is pure symbol, aggression, violation, birth, extermination, all at once. And at the center of this industrial nightmare, a woman, Ripley, cold, brave, alone. Alien doesn't need gore to be brutal. It only needs darkness, sweat, and a constant beeping that won't let you breathe. Here, no one hears you scream. Because in space, fear is absolute. A private detective takes a case that seems simple. Follow a cheating husband. But after the first photo, nothing fits. Lies, corpses, conspiracies, and a city hiding its filth under the sun. Chinatown is the definitive noir of the 20th century. It has everything. The detective, the femme fatale, the corruption. But this time, there's no redemption. Polanski directs with brutality, without embellishment. Every scene is a false clue. Every smile, a trap. Jack Nicholson is monumental, and Faye Dunaway, shattered inside. Robert Towne's script is a masterpiece. Complex, elegant, and with one of the cruelest endings in film history. In Chinatown, no one wins. Because when power is absolute, truth means nothing. All you can do is look and not understand. A man records other people's conversations for a living. He's precise, professional, invisible. But this time, something sounds wrong. And when he listens closely, his world begins to fall apart. The Conversation is a film about sound, but also about silence. About how the obsession with control can end up destroying you. Gene Hackman creates one of the loneliest characters in cinema. Quiet, methodical, paranoid. Coppola directs with surgical coldness, letting tension grow without explosions. Everything is contained, until it isn't. Years before Watergate, this film was already warning us that listening too much can drive you mad. And sometimes, the real horror isn't what you hear. It's what you can't stop hearing. A man fakes insanity to avoid prison. He thinks he's won. But what awaits him inside the asylum is far worse than jail. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a silent battle between order and soul. Jack Nicholson delivers one of the most electrifying performances in cinema. Chaotic, free, untamable. Opposite him, the inhuman nurse Ratched, symbol of control, rules, emotional numbness. Milos Forman doesn't direct with sentimentality. He directs with truth. And that truth hurts. This isn't just a critique of psychiatry. It's a hymn to rebellion, to the human spirit, and to the price of not fitting in. There's laughter, there's pain, and a final image that stays with you forever. From here on, we enter the territory of the greatest films ever made. Masterpieces that don't just define a decade, but the history of cinema. Barry Lyndon tells the rise and fall of a common man within an aristocratic world, where beauty is everything and the soul is worth nothing. Kubrick turns every frame into a painting, every camera movement into a chess move. Shot only with natural light and candles, this film redefined what cinema could look like. But it's not just form, it's a frozen tragedy. A story about ambition, vanity, and the inevitability of fate. Ryan O'Neal plays an empty man, because the world he enters demands emptiness. There are no heroes here, only beautiful masks falling with grace. Barry Lyndon is, quite simply, perfection. A Clockwork Orange is one of the most shocking and controversial films in history. In a dystopian future, a young man is addicted to ultraviolence. And in trying to reform him, the state commits an even greater crime, destroying his freedom. Kubrick delivers his most provocative film here. Classical music paired with beatings, slow motion with abuse, vibrant colors with a society rotting from the inside. Malcolm McDowell is magnetic, repulsive, fascinating. And beneath the spectacle lies a disturbing question. Is it worse to do evil, or to be unable to choose? Every shot is sick geometry. Every scene, an essay on power, punishment, and dehumanization. A Clockwork Orange is cinema as a weapon. And even if you want to look away, it's already too late.
Goddamn
That's
cash.
all I got.
You
What do you
got
want me to
more.
do?
Give me more.
I'm
Reach in your
telling you, I
fucking
got no
sock.
money.
Reach in your sock. You got more bread.
That's it, man.
Give me the rest of the fucking bread.
Taxi Driver is the ultimate portrait of urban loneliness, a spiral of alienation and silent rage that eventually explodes. An insomniac ex-Marine roams the streets of New York at night, searching for meaning in a world that has none. Prostitutes, garbage, violence, it all disgusts him, it burns him, and it's burning him from the inside. Robert De Niro gives the most disturbing performance of his career. He doesn't act, he disconnects from reality. Scorsese directs as if hell is about to erupt around every corner. The city is sick. Travis Bickle is just the most visible symptom. The camera follows him like a ghost as his mind slowly rots. Every line, every look, every shot is a warning. Because Taxi Driver isn't a movie, it's a descent. And when it ends, you're not clean either. This is no longer cinema. It's a hallucination. A descent into madness disguised as a war film, and possibly the most extreme shoot ever undertaken. A captain receives a mission to venture into the jungle and eliminate a colonel who has lost his mind and control. What follows isn't war. It's a journey into the heart of darkness. Apocalypse Now is pure excess. Flaming boats, death-soaked jungles, helicopters flying to Wagner, in the greatest war scene ever filmed. Coppola doesn't shoot war, he vomits it onto the screen. Everything teeters on the edge of collapse. And that's what makes it legendary. The cinematography is feverish, the sound pulls you in, and every frame feels like it came from a tropical nightmare. But the scariest part isn't what you see, it's what it reveals. That madness isn't in the enemy, it's inside us. And once you enter it, there's no way back. This is a technical tie. Which is better? The one that started it all, or the one that perfected it? There's no debate. The Godfather isn't just a great film. It's the film, the standard, the monument, the absolute peak of narrative cinema. The Godfather and The Godfather. Part 2 aren't two movies. They're one epic tragedy in 2 acts. A story of transformation, inheritance, blood, and silence. Coppola shoots it all like an opera. With reverence, with gravity, with heartbreaking beauty. In the first part, we witness the birth of the monster. In the second, his poisoned reign. Brando becomes a myth. Pacino, a psychopath. The cinematography, the music, the dialogue. There's not a single note out of place. Every frame breathes power, threat, elegance. The Godfather isn't about the mafia. It's about the soul. And how, in the name of family, you can lose everything. Together, they're the most perfect work cinema has ever produced. And that's where this journey ends. Not just through the cinema of the 70s, but through some of the greatest films ever made. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.